Stephen Wong and James Hergott stopped by the Fight Network studios to talk about their upcoming documentary set to be released next year. Currently named The Striking Truth, the film takes a look at the lives of Canadian fighters Georges St-Pierre and David Lozeau. Director and co-producer Stephen Wong expects the film to not only be embraced by MMA fans, but the general public as well.
This not only appeals to the MMA fan, but it appeals to a wider audience. The MMA fan will really love the documentary because obviously we're going to show a lot of the behind the scenes, the secret training, the weight cutting, the regimens, and all the stuff that's required to become a professional. It's a story about two guys, two friends, two fighters, and one guy, Georges St-Pierre, is a champion, and we see how he deals with being a champion. Because it's, when you're climbing up the ranks, it's not the same as it is when you become a champion. When you become the champion, you've got everyone. Everyone's calling you, everyone's trying to get this and get that. Interviews, press, he's flying all over the world. And then on the other side, there's David Lozeau, who actually, a lot of people don't know that he was the first fighter from Montreal, from Quebec, to get into the UFC. He had his championship fight with Rich Franklin before George got his title fight, and that was almost a turning point of his career. After that, he fought Mike Swick, and he was terminated from the UFC, and that's where we pick up. And we see him. He's like the Rocky story. We see him trying to work his way back up, and eventually go back in the UFC.
A new element has been used in the making of this film, and co-producer James Hergott discusses their decision to use 3D effects.
We're incorporating 3D aspects into it, which is the newest thing. James Cameron's Avatar is coming out soon, and 3D really is the future. It's not like the red and blue glasses of the past. They have the polarized now, and they're doing some really exceptional stuff. Obviously MMA is a very visually stimulating, type thing. So in order to take that to the next level, adding 3D just kind of fits with MMA, and nobody's done MMA in 3D. So I partnered up with a couple of different people who have a lot of experience doing this, including Bobby Razak. Bobby's a director. He does all the tap-out commercials. We've worked on some projects in the past. Cynthia Ludwig, that she actually edited My Bloody Valentine 3D. So I thought it was time to do something with action, and what better action than with MMA. George is a very clean-cut guy. He's the first guy to really be MMA fighter to be signed by Gatorade and Under Armour. George is a great ambassador for the sport, especially here in Canada. And I think that covering a story about somebody like that and showing, here's somebody that's talking about possibly competing in the Olympics for wrestling. I think this is going to open a lot of doors and make the average person understand, okay, these guys aren't just brutal, fighters or whatever the mystique might be. And there's some really talented and intelligent fighters out there, and George is obviously one of those guys.
Stephen was responsible for all filming and explains why everyone who watches this documentary will experience something truly unique.
First, we just, I just try to be there as much as I could. Along the way, there's little milestones that each one would hit, or even in the personal life. And I just try to be there as much as possible. Content is king, so I was there for a lot of milestones, and there's a lot of real, genuine scenes that have never been seen before, never been shot before. That really will show you the character of these two fighters, these two friends.
I grew up in Ontario. Stephen grew up in Canada as well, and of course the fighters did. So this is a Canadian project through and through. And my dream would be if we could get this in the Toronto Film Festival. And I think with the story that we have and how great the 3D is, I think they should put it in.